Episode 1. Joseph's Pain in the Bunyan. John Bunyan's The Pilgrim's Progress, first published in 1678, is widely considered one of the most influential works of Christian allegory in English literature. The narrative follows a character named Christian, a representation of every believer, on his journey from the city of destruction to the celestial city, symbolizing heaven. The story addresses faith, redemption, trials, and spiritual growth, universal themes that transcend time and place. But what is the connection between this iconic allegory and Joseph Smith, the founder of the Latter-day Saint movement? In The Pilgrim's Progress, Christian's journey is laden with challenges, each one a test of faith, guiding him closer to spiritual salvation. Similarly, Joseph Smith's Book of Mormon chronicles a series of spiritual journeys, particularly the tale of Lehi's family as they leave Jerusalem for the Promised Land. Both works feature divine guidance, trials of faith, and profound didactic purposes. Visions and revelations. Both Bunyan and Smith claim to have been inspired by divine revelations. Bunyan, writing from prison, portrayed his allegory as a vision, a direct spiritual communication with truth. Similarly, Joseph Smith's religious mission was born from supposed visions, starting with the alleged first vision in 1820, which would set the course for his later theological developments. Bunyan's allegory was rooted in his own spiritual transformation. He was arrested for preaching without a license, spending 12 years in prison, where he received his presumed vision that would become the Pilgrim's Progress. His vision echoed the trials of the Christian life, filled with spiritual warfare, personal growth, and ultimate redemption. This mirrors Smith's vision of a divine call to restore a true yet hidden gospel, an experience laden with hardship and perseverance. Joseph Smith's asserted visions, which began with the first vision, closely resemble Bunyan's transformative spiritual journey. Smith's claim to direct communication with God paralleled Bunyan's own claimed divine insights into the nature of salvation. As Bunyan's protagonist Christian receives guidance through allegorical figures, Smith, too, through divine communication, set the stage for the restoration of the gospel in his time. Quotes from Bunyan and Smith. Bunyan, I saw in my dream that when Christian had got to the top of the hill, there came two shining ones, and they saluted him with peace be to thee, and they said to him, thy sins be forgiven thee. Smith, reflecting his early spiritual experiences, stated, I saw the Lord, and he spake unto me, saying, I am the first and the last. I am he who liveth. I am he who was slain. I am your advocate with the Father. History of the Church, 1:10. Both these quotes exemplify direct spiritual encounters, Bunyan's allegorical moment of spiritual rebirth and Smith's supposed literal vision of divine authority. Both claim to have received clear messages of forgiveness and purpose. Trials of faith. Christian struggles in Bunyan's narrative mirror the adversity Joseph Smith and his followers faced as they sought to live according to their own principles. The Book of Mormon also mirrors these challenges, as its characters wrestle with their own trials in faith. Joseph Smith's own life, filled with self-opposed opposition and betrayals, further reflects these allegorical struggles. In The Pilgrim's Progress, Christian faces trials meant to test faith. Distractions, deception, and despair, all part of a spiritual journey. But comparing that to Joseph Smith's life only works if you're honest about the nature of his obstacles. Smith wasn't just rejected for preaching new doctrine, he was entangled in a long trail of legal trouble, fraud accusations, failed banking schemes, and secretive polygamy. His persecution wasn't unprovoked spiritual opposition. It was often the direct result of his own controversial actions, including destroying a free press in Nauvoo and claiming unchecked divine authority. Far from a misunderstood prophet, Smith frequently clashed with civil governments, alienated former followers who saw him as manipulative, and operated in a climate of justified suspicion. His economic ventures, like the Kirtland Safety Society, left many destitute. His plural marriages were hidden from his legal wife and the public, a deception that led to public outrage and internal revolt. Unlike Bunyan's Christian, who was brought low by internal temptation and redeemed by grace, Smith's burdens were often self-created, the consequences of secrecy, authoritarian control, and personal ambition wrapped in the language of revelation. Bunyan wrote in The Pilgrim's Progress, Then I saw in my dream that Christian went on his way, and that two men were behind him, and he was greatly troubled, for he knew they were determined to take his life. But in the end, they were defeated, and Christian was victorious, despite the battle he had to endure. That's a spiritual allegory of perseverance through faith. But Joseph Smith's story? That's not allegory. It's American history. And the danger he faced wasn't the result of pure religious opposition. It was often the direct outcome of his own decisions. Didactic purpose. Both works are intended to guide believers. Bunyan's allegory aims to steer Christians along the straight and narrow path, and the Book of Mormon seeks to restore Christian principles, offering teachings to direct the faithful in a newly restored gospel. Both Bunyan and Smith presented their works as divine revelations that would lead others to salvation. Bunyan used allegory to illustrate the pitfalls and blessings on the path of spiritual righteousness, while Smith claimed to offer the Book of Mormon as a guide for believers in the last days. Both men crafted their narratives in a way that encouraged personal reflection and spiritual commitment. Bunyan's Christian encounters allegorical figures such as evangelist and hopeful, who encourage and teach him. Similarly, the Book of Mormon features figures like Nephi, Alma, and Mormon, whose lives illustrate principles of righteousness, leadership, and enduring faith. Popularity and influence. The Pilgrim's Progress became a cornerstone of Protestant literature, much as the Book of Mormon has become central to Latter-day Saint theology. While these two works originated in distinct theological traditions, Protestant Christianity and the Latter-day Saint movement, they share common human aspirations for spiritual truth, redemption, and divine favor. John Bunyan's Pilgrim's Progress was one of the most widely published and influential Christian works of the 17th century, shaping Protestant thought across generations and denominations. In stark contrast, the Book of Mormon's influence remains almost entirely confined to the LDS movement. It has failed to impact broader Christian theology or religious thought outside Mormonism. Even within the Latter-day Saint movement, the Community of Christ, formerly RLDS, has largely rejected the Book of Mormon as ancient scripture, distancing themselves from Joseph Smith's original claims and further highlighting the limited scope and controversial nature of the text. Joseph Smith did not provide a consistent or deeper understanding of Christian theology. His teachings were marked by continual change, contradictions, and doctrinal reversals. This instability caused significant confusion and disillusionment among members, leading many, including prominent early leaders, to leave the church in protest or dissent. Unlike Bunyan, whose Pilgrim's Progress has been widely celebrated for its coherent spiritual message, Smith's theology often sparked internal conflict and schisms, reflecting a pattern of shifting revelations rather than a stable foundation of faith. Both John Bunyan and Joseph Smith claimed visions and personal revelations, but that's where any meaningful similarity ends. Bunyan's Pilgrim's Progress is a clear, influential Christian allegory rooted in centuries of Protestant tradition, offering consistent moral and spiritual teaching. Joseph Smith's early religious experiences, by contrast, were marked by confusion, contradictions, and outright fabrications. Rather than building on Protestant foundations, Smith ripped them apart, inventing a theological system that broke sharply with Christian orthodoxy and splintered into numerous contradictory doctrines. His revelations frequently changed, sowing chaos and distrust. Smith's path was not one of steady spiritual development, but of unprincipled innovation, deception, and manipulation, which led to division, conflict, and eventual violence within the early Mormon movement. While Protestantism shaped his early environment, Smith's actions set him on a distinct, destabilizing course that devastated many lives and continues to fuel controversy to this day. I hope you learned something new. Smash that like button, hit subscribe, and follow for more no-fluff, ex-Mormon content that cuts through the faith-promoting fog. Thank you so kindly for watching. This is the Ex-Mormon Informant signing off for today.